Welcome to the LZ Sports Show. I am one of your hosts, I suppose, Mark Adam, here in the WPG Sports HQ, which, as I've established before, is my basement. It's not Michael Remus's basement. This is my basement. And that's how we do it here in the LZ. I am joined by the very colorful Mr. Keith McKnight today. Loving that Hawaiian theme. I don't understand. Is it because it's finally not minus 12 outside, or what's happening there?
No, I don't know. I think this is like probably the second time I've worn this on the show, and it was colder the last time. So no, I don't know. I was, like you said, it's colorful. I was feeling pretty positive this morning. So I just wanted to express that with my wardrobe a little bit.
Nice, I like it. Any positivity is good positivity. That's what positivity means. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the show. After a word from our sponsor, we will be right back after this.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aquatech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aquatech job, it's an Aquatech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
Welcome back, and thanks again to our sponsor, Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We greatly appreciate our sponsors. We are going to jump right into this. Before we do, though, follow us on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Like and subscribe on YouTube. That way you know when we go live and when we add new shows like this. And the WPG Magazine's YouTube page also hosts like free dance classes from time to time that we help raise money for charity, and there's live concerts from home from artists and things, and lots of other things, contests, all that stuff. You can also find all the Jets highlights generally on the WPG Magazine's YouTube channel. So like, subscribe, ring the bell, get the notifications, all that YouTube-y stuff. But let's jump right into it. Mr. McKnight, last night, a disappointing way to go for the Jets. The Oilers coming out victorious 2-1 in regulation. Shots pretty close, also fairly low. They held them to 21 shots. What do you think of that?
I thought that was pretty good on the Jets side. They showed that it was a defensive game. I know they came out on the losing side, but to hold the Edmonton Oilers to 2 goals like that, and then still be able to attack their defensive presence as well, and still put them. The Jets had a lot of chances to tie this game, and thankfully, I believe it was Magnus Puljujarvi when he made that extra move offside, that established them offside after the review. It just showed that the Jets were really there, and they didn't shy away. Unfortunately, that's an 8, not a 10. So yeah, the Jets could have maybe been a little bit more physical against Edmonton, but I think the mentality that the Jets probably went into this game with was like, okay, well, this is more of a technical team, right? You just want to play like an old school style of hockey and just play good defense against like guys like Connor McDavid and like Leon Draisaitl and especially Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, because those guys have really, I guess, as cliche as it sounds, they have really good silky hands, right? They're pretty good with their hands and the stick. So
yeah, I think that's an understatement. I love pointing out this 2 penalty minutes on either side, one kick at the can for the power play, neither one connecting. It was the entire Canadian division seems to have this speed first, skill first. We'll punch each other if we need to, but that's a last resort. Whereas a lot of people's perception of hockey is people go out there, spit, punch, and then maybe shoot a puck. So I really like this style of hockey we're seeing in the North Division with all this wide open skating back and forth. And I thought the Jets did play quite well. Was there a player for you that stuck out?
Yes, I'm going to go with Kyle Connor again this time around. He's probably the one guy that continues just to show up every single night. And I don't want to say he flies under the radar, but it doesn't matter if he produces goals and if he really finds the back of the net, but he's just always involved in something. And it's always a good opportunity. There's like every time that Kyle Connor is on the ice, something good happens. And it may not be something where you see production with a point, excuse me, on the scoreboard, but there's a reason why he's on the ice, and he continues to show that.
I would have to agree with you. For me, I go Laurent Brossoit. I thought he played very well. Those 2 goals shot by an absolute elite sniper, Connor McDavid. And when you look at both of those goals, they are identical. They're identical. I didn't have time to put the highlight package together, but like he comes off that half wall, shoots it from that one spot on the ice he likes to shoot from, and he knows the goalie's scouting report, obviously. Obviously,
Yes.
They told him shoot blocker side, but he shot that above the pad, below the blocker. He turns around. The second goal he scored was streaming in from the blue line on a 2-on-1, and he gets to that exact same spot on the ice and shoots the exact same shot. So for me, if I'm picking out a really good player on the Jets squad, I thought, other than those 2 goals, which I'm not even going to blame him for, that's an elite sniper. You're not going to win all those battles. And I thought Brossoit played very well, and especially in the third period, he really gave the Jets a chance to win the game. I thought he was the reason there was that mad scramble at the end, and unfortunately the Jets were unable to beat Koskinen again after Perreault did in the second period, but I really thought he, as a backup goaltender stepping into a game that I thought they should have swapped for, I thought he played very well. I would have liked to see Laurent Brossoit play the night before against the Habs, and then have him have Hellebuck last night against the Oilers. But that's just me, and I'm not Paul Maurice, so I'm not going to pretend to to try and overcoach him or anything. Armchair quarterback. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of fans are anticipating Connor Hellebuck taking the net in the next game, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the back-to-backs are where you're going to be using Brossoit. I think there still is another back-to-back left to go in for the Jets this month. So it's been a busy month. In a 31-day calendar, you got 17 games to play. It doesn't leave a lot of room for days off and thinking and breathing and whatnot. So I'm looking now. They do, in fact, next Friday, Saturday, they play in Calgary back to back. So that's the 26th and 27th of March, and I'm looking forward to that because I think that we'll see Brossoit busted out again, and I really like the way he plays. And Scheifele even said it in the post-game interview, when he was asked about Brossoit's play, he said,
Yeah.
He comes out, he competes, and he always gives us a chance to win. And he pointed out specifically that third period, because Brossoit played a great third period. And I thought he played a full game, honestly. Those 2 goals he got scored on, again, I'm just Connor McDavid doing Connor McDavid-y things. Like, what are you going to do? The guy, there's a reason he's a superstar, and he's chasing Austin Matthews for that scoring title right now because he's that good. Period.
I know. I was hoping McDusty would have showed up last night, but
Yeah.
he just did. So there the man was. The thing is, as well, I was looking at Edmonton's record, and you had shared that Edmonton was they had a really good record in their last 10 games. And if you look at their record as well, as I mentioned, they don't have a single overtime loss. And I was thinking about this before we went to air. I was like, wow, Edmonton, they go into every game where they're just like, okay, look, we don't need more or less than 60 minutes to win or lose this hockey game. Like, we're going to finish this in 60 minutes, or, unfortunately, sometimes they just get finished in 60 minutes. But it's amazing that, they've managed to stay out of overtime. And that's a big deal at this point, especially with a short season. You would think that, a lot of teams would fight for that extra point. And with them being able to stay out of overtime, if they were to have 3 points in your 3-point system, they'd be well ahead of the game right now.
Oh, they'd be killing it, honestly. Speaking of, the Jets, had they won last night, would have had an absolutely identical record to the Toronto Maple Leafs. As it stands, we are still 1 win shy and 1 loss extra. But it would have been, because right now the Jets are 18-10-2, they would have been 19-9-2, which is exactly what Toronto's record is. So we were talking before the Toronto series, about how close the Jets were to catching up to the Leafs and how it was absolutely possible. And it still remains possible because there's lots more games, in the rest of this month. So it's still possible that they can catch and pass the Leafs. But Edmonton last night tied them in points. But because they've played 33 games in Toronto and the Jets have only played 30 games, their points percentage is quite a bit more skewed because they've got those 13 losses and only 20 wins. So, big zero in the overtime shootout category, as you mentioned. So no points won there. So all their losses were straight losses in regulation, taking away 0 points. So .606 points percentage, leaving them in, I think, 13th place if you look at it by points percentage, as opposed to the 8th spot in the NHL if you look at the raw points. So on the surface, according to the NHL and the way that they do business, the Edmonton Oilers are now tied for first place in the North Division, period. But obviously there's more to it than that, and the Leafs, while they are on a slide 5-5 in their last 10, that doesn't mean that the Oilers are making a ton of ground up on them. They're 6-4-0 in their last 10. So not stats that either of those teams want to see, but they're still sort of clinging to that first place. And there is, I mean, it's a short season, but there's lots of time to turn that around and end up with the win. 30 games played so far. There's only 56 games in the season this year. So who knows what is going to happen with the rest of that. Kind of a story of the game there. Very low shots at the end, particularly the first period. It was 6. Winnipeg had 6 shots. Edmonton had 4 at the end of the first period. So what are your thoughts there? What happened? What caused that?
It just shows that, like, when maybe they realized that they're not getting a lot of shots off because Winnipeg was just focusing on playing a really tight defensive game. And then they're like, okay, let's just put the puck on Connor's stick because, he'll be able to really figure something out. And I think that maybe him as a captain, he was just, okay, just give me the puck. It could maybe somewhere silently that he was just, really like some way he let the guys know. It's just like, hey, give it here and let me just take care of these guys, because when you're playing against a guy like Connor McDavid, Lauren Brossoit, you can't blame the guy for last night's loss. You can't really blame anybody. The Jets ran into a good team in a great division, and the Jets are a good team, so it's not like people are taking them lightly anymore, which I think it's about time. It's about time. I'm not LeBron James, but it is about time.
I hear that. I feel you, and I think that, like, Connor McDavid's got the skill. If you put the puck on his stick, he's gonna do magic. That's what he does. That's legitimately his MO. He's done it forever. So I'm very impressed that the Jets have kept him off the scoreboard as much as they have this season. But him getting 2 goals in a game, it's gonna happen. And I thought, because we talked about Neil Pionk and how he did such a great job against Connor McDavid, specifically in those last couple of matchups, and I thought he did again last night, but I think they spread the responsibility out a little more, and that opened up those opportunities for Connor McDavid because there wasn't one person really just focused on that guy. Make that guy not a thing. Make him go away. And they didn't really have that approach to the game to that last night, so that was a little rough. And you also have to consider they both played in back-to-back games, but Edmonton's back-to-back was a Calgary game. They're not traveling the same distance and changing time zones and then playing a late game like the I love the sirens coming from your place. That's great. But yeah, they're not playing that way. Anyway, I just thought that the low shots was a big deal, and McDangerous, I call him. McDavid.
Oh, I like that one. Yes, McDangerous.
Man, when he gets the puck on the half wall, 2 things happen. Somebody's going to have an absolutely perfect pass and one-time it from the point or the slot, or he's going to walk off that half wall and shoot from the hash marks right in front of the goalie. And guess what happened last night? And I wish I had time to build that highlight package, but like he did that. He got that together and he put that right exactly where he wanted it, and he shot it where he knew it would go in. And that second goal he scored was the same thing. He just walked across the blue line. He knew where he wanted to be when he shot the puck, and he just goes there. And he's so fast. What are you going to do about it? And the answer, the answer is pray and hope that your goaltender gets it. And I would say 5 or more times out of 10, that puck's going in the net when you got Connor McDavid shooting it from that spot. That's just how it is. If he's allowed to stand where he wants to stand and given time to shoot the puck and pick his spot, he's going to score almost every time. That's what he does. So I thought that was an unfortunate thing that happened with the Jets last night. You don't even have to lose him for a second. You blink and all of a sudden he's past you. His acceleration is insane. I mean, he was on the ice for 3 seconds before he scored that second goal. He jumped off the bench and just got the puck, walked in the zone and scored. Done.
He's like, it's like in the movie Three Ninjas when the grandpa ninja dust and he's just gone. And then my good friend Rob Fairbanks, just across the border here in Leech Lake, Minnesota. He says, sometimes, you're so tired, you just want to get into bed as fast as you can. You just turn off the light and you're in the bed before it's dark. And that's exactly what Connor McDavid does on the ice.
Yeah. I want to be there. He's already there. He's got that explosive speed. He's just, it's a joy to watch him play. It's a pain to watch him play against your favorite team. So he's just one of those players that you're excited to see do his thing, and you just hope it doesn't happen to you. Like, that's the thing. So
it's like you want to be on the bench. You don't even want to be on the ice. You don't want a plus. You don't want a minus. You just don't want to be on the ice when he's there.
Yeah. And another little point of last night, going into that game, the previous 16 goals, 5 of those were scored by Kyle Connor. 4 of those were scored by EDMONTON. So 9 of the previous 16 goals were scored by those 2 wingers on that one line. To make that even further, I wrote it all down because I did the math last night. 28 goals and 32 assists going into the game last night for the Jets in the month of March. 11 goals, 13 assists for a total of 24 points was 39% of all goals scored were that one line of Connor Dubois and EDMONTON.
Oh, wow.
Stastny, Scheif, and Wheeler, 8 goals, 14 assists, for 22 points. 28% of all goals. So, back to my point where I keep saying that the Dubois, Ehlers, and whoever you put him with line, Connor, in this case, Kyle Connor, but I would say Kopp would be a great person to have on that line because it would make the third line even deadlier and you wouldn't lose anything really on that second line. But the lines as they are, Connor, Dubois, Ehlers, is the number 1 line for the Jets. End of sentence.
That's it.
On paper, the way they write the lines out, Scheifele and Wheeler will always be on the first line because of their leadership roles and the way that they compose themselves, the way they do business in Winnipeg. They're always going to be your technically written on a piece of paper, your number 1 line. But in all honesty, the number 1 line in Winnipeg is Connor, Dubois, Ehlers right now, period. No bones about it. Look at the statistics. Look, however you want to slice the cake, they come out as the number 1 line in Winnipeg. End of sentence. Thoughts?
That's it. I agree with you, and I like the way that, Paul Maurice is just continuing to run into, head coach Paul Maurice is continuing to run into good problems. Because now, because you called this once already, I give it like 3. By the third game of this third or fourth game of this road trip, or no, actually forget it. Forget about the road trip. When the Jets come back home, you'll see that line with Kopp in it. By then, I guarantee it. I'm with you. Because you can't run away from how everything that is happening in the Jets locker room, in the coach's office, it's all good problems. And I wouldn't even want to say that they're problems anymore. They're just good things to be worried about.
I agree. Yeah. So another little fun fact going into the game tomorrow night, also in Edmonton, the Jets have not lost back-to-back games in regulation yet this season, and they're going to look to make sure that statistic holds true because they're going to go back to the drawing board, fix some things, make sure they shut down Connor McDavid, that is. And Kyle Connor McDavid, Connor Hellebuck. There's too many Connors in these games.
Yeah, I know.
But they really have to figure that out. They haven't lost in regulation back-to-backs. That's the stat. They want to maintain that. So I think that they're probably going to keep their lineup pretty much the same. They played very well last night. You got beat by 2 expert shots by the best marksman in the league. It's hard to say anybody did a bad job. No, you're not.
Right.
You're taking aim there, Mr. McDavid, sniper that he is. But yeah, I just thought that there's a little more they can do to sort of keep him in check. They did a really good job against Draisaitl. They didn't give Puljujärvi an inch of space. Like, they did all the things that they needed to do. But in order to do that, you give Connor McDavid half of a thought of a second, and he's already moving in the direction that's going to hurt you. So there's so many moving parts in Edmonton, and they're such a dangerous team. And there's a reason that they are now tied for first place with in the North with Toronto, is because they're just smart. They don't need. They're very much like the Jets in that they don't need a ton of shots to manufacture goals. The Jets regularly get outshot in games that they win because the shots they take are from better spots. Our shooters are very accurate shooters. Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers, Mark Scheifele, just to name a few.
Very smart shot. Yeah.
So smart shots from smart places, not taking shots when you're going to give the puck away for no reason. These two teams have that sort of in common, and it also is why the games are always so close, yet they never manage overtime. They're always they're 1-goal games when we play most of the time, but we always manage to avoid the overtime period. That 6-5 game that we played a couple of series ago against the Oilers, that was crazy, right? 11 goals in one game, ended in regulation. Didn't even need overtime.
Didn't need it.
That's crazy. Yeah. But anyway, it is what it is on that front. Do you think that Scheifele was affected in the second and third period? Do you think he was slowed down a little bit by the injury he took at the end of the first when he stuck out his foot, blocked that shot with the inside of his ankle?
A little bit, yeah, for sure. And then he's one of those types of guys who's gonna, he's gonna pull a Rocky and just, run up those stairs, no matter how tired or injured he may be, and he's not gonna give up, And that's just the type of player he's always been, and he does not like to sit out games, doesn't like to miss games. So, now you have me thinking, do you think it's enough of something that they'll maybe sit him the next game?
I doubt it. If you get a guy like Scheifele and he's willing to play, he's playing. Period.
Okay. All right.
I mean, same him and Wheeler. They'll play hurt, and they'll be 80% as effective as they normally are, which is still pretty darn effective, to be honest. Right? Like, I'll take an 80% Scheifele over anybody in the league, really. You know? I mean, there's some exceptions. Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews. You don't want to play 100% one of those with an 80% Mark Scheifele. That's bad times. But really, Mark Scheifele is an underrated player in the NHL overall. Winnipeg fans, we know how good he is. And same goes for Ehlers. But, for Scheifele, we know how good he is. Most other teams don't really have an appreciation for it until they're watching him celebrate a goal. So there's all of a sudden that, oh, right, he's pretty good. So you got that. Sorry, I forgot to mute my phone because I'm a professional. But I just think Scheifele's got that sneakiness about him in he's really a superstar player that nobody really pays attention to outside of the Winnipeg organization. It's crazy how little attention Winnipeg gets paid with the superstars we have. Nikolai Ehlers, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Vezina winning Hellebuck.
Yeah, like no one cares. It's not fair.
It's so crazy when you listen to the media everywhere other than Winnipeg. No one's talking about the Jets almost ever. This year you get a lot more, but that's because it's all Canadian teams playing against Canadian teams. So you're going to hear the name Winnipeg a lot more. So, yes. But it's just crazy to me that these guys are so underrated. And Scott Billick even wrote an article the other day that we talked about on yesterday's show. How what was it? Criminally underrated Ehlers.
Yes.
I think that's what he said.
Yeah, you told me that yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, check it out. It's in the Winnipeg Sun. Go read Scott Billick's article on that. Honestly, like, criminally underrated is exactly what most of the Jets are. Nikolai Ehlers and Mark Scheifele top the list for that for me. And I'd like to see them get more recognition, but I'd rather see them not and just win games because people aren't ready for them, really. I mean, if you have two superstars that are not getting any press anywhere else, then all of a sudden you've got a secret weapon. I figured all the Canadian teams have seen us enough now that they're onto us, but but that's the thing. I thought that he did slow down a little bit, Scheifele, after getting that puck in the ankle. I thought his second period was a little less than what he would want it to be. He wasn't skating quite as hard. But I feel like he got a lot of that back in the third period. So hopefully that momentum will carry over into tomorrow night's game in Edmonton. Divisional recap. There were no games in the division last night other than Winnipeg and Edmonton. So basically there's real quick, hot teams. I want to point out that the Islanders have lost a game at home in regulation for the first time this year. I wrote down a couple of things that I thought were really neat. I thought that was really cool. Philadelphia beat them 4-3 in regulation. Their first at-home regulation loss of the season. That's insane to me. The Islanders what's their home record right now? 12-1-2. They were 12-0-2 at home until last night. That's crazy. Kudos to the Islanders for being so dominant lately. I say that lately they're on a 2-game losing streak, but that's not the point. The point is that they're a hot team right now, and I think they're going to continue being a hot team for a while. Washington on a 6-game winning streak. Got to watch out for them. Colorado on a 5-game winning streak. Got to watch out for them. They are surging. Colorado pushing its way up the ranks right now. 9th overall by points. And 6th overall, if you look at... Actually, I'll just bring up the stat for you. Here it is. Boom. Here's the top 10 in the NHL according to points percentage. So you'll see there Colorado in 6th place, 7-2-1 in their last 10, 5-game winning streak. This is what's going on around the league right now. While you're looking at the top of the league, I'll mention the bottom real quick. I guess Anaheim was kind of upset that I didn't include them in the worst teams of the league. Last time I went through that, remember when I was talking about how Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa, take your pick, who's the worst?
Yeah.
And Anaheim's like, hey, hold my beer, because I didn't include them in the worst teams, right? And they're on a losing streak of 4. They're 2-6-2 in their last 10, and they have a -36 goal differential. So I apologize for excluding you, Anaheim Ducks. I will include you today. But I do want to point out, too, that Buffalo lost their first game after firing their coach. They are 0-11-2 in their last 13.
Wow, and they got a lot of superstars there.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent on that team that just cannot put pucks in the net, as it turns out. So, as much as I want to include Anaheim and make them the worst team in the league because they're trying so hard, I got to give it to Buffalo straight up on the 0-11-2 in their last 13. I think I'd be hard pressed to say anybody in the league was colder. So that's just my thought on that. So, sir, any final thoughts before we shove off here for the day?
I don't really think so. I just don't think anybody should really get upset with the Jets about this loss. Shake it off. Tomorrow it's a big game. Hockey Night in Canada, playoff atmosphere. I'm telling you, it's going to be a really good game tomorrow. And What time is puck drop exactly tomorrow? Is it the earlier? No, it's on the West Coast, so it might be a little bit later.
That's a Edmonton game, so it's going to be 9 p.m. for us.
9 p.m. Yeah,
So-
for us, exactly.
So
So, no,
it's,
the Jets can come back nicely. Like you said, Vezina Trophy recipient like Connor Hellebuck, like he'll be in net. Like this is not a bad team. It's two good teams going up against each other in a good division,
Absolutely.
and the Jets are right there behind them.
I agree. The Jets are right on their heels. And, I mean, technically, by points percentage, Winnipeg's a better team.
Yes,
And then that's how I judge things, because I hate this
100%.
giving away games in hand. The Edmonton Oilers have played 33 games. The Jets have only played 30. By points, they're ahead of us, but they're only ahead of us by 2. I think that works out. Where did I put that stat? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we have 38. They got 40. So we're 2 points behind Toronto and Edmonton, and we have 3 games in hand on Edmonton. So does Toronto, to be honest. So technically,
Yeah.
Toronto and Winnipeg are ahead of Edmonton. Winnipeg, and obviously when I put up that stat, I'll put it back up there. The top 10, you'll notice Winnipeg isn't in it because they're sitting in 11th spot, just behind Boston there, with a .633 points percentage. 5-4-1 in their last 10. Not great stats that we want to see, but I think, this road trip is going to be a big test for them. We'll see how they come out the other end. But again, they're on a 1-loss losing streak, which isn't really a streak, it's a dot. And hopefully they can avoid that regulation loss and get the big old W to keep that no regulation losses back-to-back stat I really want them to keep. So thank you very much for joining us. Follow us on all the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Do like and subscribe. Like this video, comment below. You can give us a call, by the way, on the WPG Sports line. Call us now. Leave us a message if you want us to play your voice message on a future episode of the LZ Sports Show. 431-800-4555. Leave us a message. I will also be setting up an email address for you, and we'll have that for next episode. So we'll have like a mailbag kind of thing. And if you're more comfortable emailing your thoughts as opposed to calling us and speaking your thoughts, some people have an easier time writing it out. So that's cool. We'll set that up as well. And for anybody out there interested in advertising, you can also advertise. Ads at thewpg.ca is the email address. You can phone us 431-489-2401. Shout out again to our wonderful sponsor, Aquatech Pool Spa and Bath. Relax, Aquatech has got it. So, thank you very much for joining us here in the LZ. I am Mark Adam. For my co-host Keith McKnight, we will see you next time.